Hi there and welcome back to another NJS instructional video. In this video I'm going to compare these three popular coffee grinders, cover off their key features, their pros and cons, and provide you with my overall thoughts. Today we'll be comparing the Mazzer Mini D, the Rancilio Rocky, and the Breville Smart Grinder Pro. Firstly, let's look at the features of each grinder, starting with the Mazzer Mini D. The Mazzer Mini D is made in Italy and is a very well quality built grinder. It measures in at 43 cm high, 34 cm deep and 17 cm wide. It weighs around 9 kg, making it really nice and sturdy. It features a 320 gram bean hopper, which can also be upgraded to a larger capacity 600 gram bean hopper. The hopper also features a bean cut-off locking slide mechanism. It features a powerful 250 watt motor and has a burst speed of 1400 RPM at 50 Hz. Grinding adjustments are stepless, and the grinder also boasts a die-cast aluminium body. The Mini D features the Mazzer 189D flat grinding burrs, which measure in at a relatively large 64mm in diameter. Larger burrs have the benefit of transmitting less heat into the coffee beans whilst grinding. To activate the grind, simply turn the grinder on and press the grind switch with your group handle. To stop, simply retract backwards. This variant of Mazzer Mini, however, can't support a group handle on its own, but given it is a fully manual grinder which requires activation to grind, it makes sense why Mazzer went down this path. The overall fit and finish of this grinder is excellent. At the time of making this video, the Mazzer Mini D can be purchased for around $800 Australian dollars. Next up we have the Rancilio Rocky, another well-built Italian-made coffee grinder. The grinder measures in at 35 cm high, 25 cm deep and 12 cm wide. It weighs around 7 kg, also making it nice and sturdy on any benchtop. It features a 300 gram UV protected bean hopper, a 140 watt motor and a burst speed of 1350 RPM at 50 Hz. Grinding adjustments are stepped, and the Rocky also features flat grinding burrs which measure in at 50mm in diameter. Activating the grind is done via the rocker switch positioned at the bottom, making it slightly awkward, especially if you try and adjust the grind size at the same time. Like the Mazzer, this is a fully manual coffee grinder. Unlike the Rocky, however, the Mazzer is available with electronic variants which have programmable grind times. The overall fit and finish is good, but not great. It does have a stainless steel shell, but it also does have sharp edges, unlike the Mazzer. Like the Mazzer Mini, the Rancilio Rocky has been around for a very long time, and has proven to be a highly durable and reliable grinder. Its motor power is considerably lower than both the Mazzer and Breville, and this does make it more susceptible to jamming. The group handle can be placed in position without falling, unlike the Mazzer. Additionally, I believe if the discharge chute was slightly smaller, the mess on the catch tray would be less. At the time of making this video, the Rancilio Rocky can be purchased for around $500 Australian dollars. Lastly, we have the Breville Smart Grinder Pro, which is made in China. It measures in at 39 cm high, 21 cm deep and 16 cm wide. It weighs around 2.8 kg, making it prone to be easily moved on any bench surface. It features a 450 gram UV protected bean hopper with a sealed lid, allowing for the coffee beans to be less prone to oxidation. It features a slightly more powerful 165 watt motor compared to the Rancilio, as well as stepped grinding adjustment. However, having owned a Smart Grinder Pro for over 9 years, it is quite prone to jamming. The internals of the Smart Grinder Pro are mostly plastic, however, unlike the Mazzer and Rancilio. The Smart Grinder Pro features conical burrs which measure in at 40mm in diameter. The motor speed I believe is around 450 RPM at 50 Hz. Like the Mazzer, to activate the grind, simply turn the grinder on and press the grind button with your group handle. This will also engage the pre-programmed timer. To manually stop the grind before the timer ends, again press the group handle in. Unlike the Mazzer and Rancilio, this Breville has an LCD display as well as programmable grinding time functions. It is a tight squeeze, but a 58mm group handle can also fit. The overall fit and finish is good. It also has a combination of stainless steel skin and plastic components. Now that we've covered the major features of each grinder, let's put them head to head. Each grinder has been emptied of coffee beans, and the same fresh coffee beans have been poured into each hopper. Firstly, we will compare how they each grind coffee, the characteristics and texture of each grind, as well as the speed and the sound of each grinder. Our second test will be a simple knock test to see how much coffee grind comes out when the grinder is knocked. Finally, we will put them head to head in a coffee extraction shootout. Now each grinder was set to have a similar grind fineness, so with that, let's start grinding some coffee. Now from these three grinds, what is apparent is the following. The Mazzer had the highest pitch grinding sound, had a nice consistent pour and texture of ground coffee with minimal clumping, and ground the same amount of coffee fairly quickly. The Rancilio had the lowest pitch grinding sound, had quite an inconsistent pour of ground coffee with the largest clumps. Like the Mazzer, however, it was also fairly quick in grinding coffee. The Breville had an interesting grinding sound somewhere between the Mazzer and the Rancilio. Its grinding pour wasn't as consistent as that of the Mazzer, but appeared to be better than the Rancilio, with not as much clumping as the Rancilio. However, it did take the longest to grind the same amount of coffee. Having a close look at the ground coffee, for each it's hard to see any major differences. Each grind had a similar colour, size and texture. However, the Mazzer had the fluffiest and most consistent grind, followed by the Rancilio and then the Breville. Additionally, the aromatics of the Mazzer and Rancilio grind were better than that of the Breville. Maybe this has to do with the larger and flat grinding burrs. However, both the Rancilio and Mazzer can grind coffee at superfine settings, which isn't shown in this video, unlike the Breville. Now for our second test, let's knock each grinder to see how much coffee grind is retained or not. Interestingly, all three grinders did very well in the knock test, with minimal amounts of ground coffee being discharged. The Mazzer again having a slight advantage, but possibly too close to call. Now for our final test, each grinder will grind the same amount of coffee beans into our 58mm portafilter or group handle. Additionally, further assessment of the grind will be undertaken, for example, how long the grinding time was, and the mess left behind. Using our Rancilio Silvia V6 coffee machine, a coffee shot will also be pulled. We will also be using only red coffee cups, and if you want to know why, please check out my video in the link above. A visual check of the coffee and crema will also be undertaken, and then a final taste test completed of the coffee shot. So let's grind and make some coffee. Now the results, and starting with the Breville. The coffee shot had the least amount of crema and also the least amount of flavour. Interestingly, the lack of flavour considering the exact same coffee beans were used was very noticeable. This may be due to the conical burrs and also them being smaller in diameter, or due to other reasons. There was some mess left behind on the cleaning tray, but nothing too major either. The Rancilio ground coffee had a really nice crema and taste to it. In fact, I would say the difference in taste between the Mazzer and Rancilio was only marginal, with the Mazzer having the slightest edge. However, given the Rancilio has smaller grinding burrs than the Mazzer, this grinder really punches above its class. The taste of this coffee compared to that of the Breville, however, was considerably better, with a full-bodied flavour. And this is also interesting given the grind itself was the clumpiest of the three. Lastly, we have the Mazzer, and also the grinder we expect the most out of, given its strong credentials on paper, legendary status and higher price tag. Not surprisingly, the Mazzer ground coffee had the best crema and taste, however not as much or noticeable as you would think or expect when compared to the Rancilio. Yes, it did have the most consistent grind, it took the least amount of time, and I also think it had the nicest of grinding sounds. However, from a visual and taste perspective, the Rancilio wasn't far behind. Now my closing thoughts, starting from the bottom. In third place is the Breville. It really can't compete with these Italian grinders tested. However, it is a good entry-level grinder for this price. Coupled with a Breville coffee machine, this grinder works well and will give good coffee results. However, when used on a higher, more commercial grade coffee machine like the Rancilio Silvia, you start to realise its shortcomings and limitations. Additionally, the long-term durability of the Breville is questionable. It has a number of plastic internal components, and I've already broken one in my time. Spare parts are almost non-existent, making repairs very difficult. Please check out an earlier video I released on this. In second place, we have the Rancilio Rocky. From a performance perspective, this grinder really gives the Mazzer a good run for its money and performs better than expected. Overall, it is well built, with many durable components, and represents a very good value for money. It is let down by its fit and finish, and its awkwardness in grinding adjustment. However, it has proven itself over time to be very reliable, and yield great tasting coffee. Spare parts are also readily available, unlike the Breville. This leaves us with the Mazzer Mini D in first place. Yes, it is the most expensive grinder on test, and yes, it did yield the best tasting coffee as was expected. However, from a taste perspective, it was only marginally better than the Rancilio. In all other areas though, and especially in build quality, it really does shine above the other two grinders. Like the Rancilio, the Mazzer has a very well proven record. It's strong, reliable, and spare parts are easily available. It is very well supported by Mazzer. In my opinion, it also looks the nicest of the three. The Mazzer is a grinder you keep for life, and maybe one to pass down to the next generation. Therefore, my final thoughts are, if you have the budget for it, go for the Mazzer. If not, the Rancilio is also a very good grinder, representing good value for money and won't disappoint. However, if your budget only allows for the Breville, best you hold off. Save up and buy the Rancilio or even the Mazzer. It will save you money in the longer term, and you will thank yourself in the future. So, I hope you found this video informative. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit that bell notification icon. Thanks for watching.